One of my favorite things in the whole world, probably my crutch in the culinary world, is pizza. I just cannot live without it. I have a new collaboration with my friends over at Red Star Yeast, and there's an amazing brand new product called Platinum Instant Sourdough Yeast that I'm cooking with and baking with for you today. I'm gonna make my sourdough cornmeal crusted pizza with summer vegetables on top, easily made in this stand mixer. And then what we're gonna do is pull it out. I'm gonna knead it by hand. I have 1 cup of lukewarm water. I'm gonna add a little bit of olive oil in here. This is 3 tablespoons of extra virgin olive oil. Got a little bit of sugar to kick it all up. Some salt. I use kosher salt when my baking. The great thing about the Platinum Instant Sourdough Yeast, dump it all in, boom, we're ready. We already saved 20 minutes. I don't even have to have a starter. I'm gonna take my flour here. This is bread flour. It's 1 2/3 cup of bread flour. Here's some cornmeal. This is some coarse cornmeal. It's about a 1/4 cup. Cool thing about this is, lock it so it doesn't move on you, turn it on, and don't forget the key ingredient, the yeast. Yeah, just dumping it right in. Just bring it together. Once it comes together, I'm gonna bring it out on my counter space. I'm gonna work it till the whole dough comes together nice and evenly. Isn't it pretty simple, right? Dump, done, dough, pizza in seconds. Gorgeous. Just enough to pull it all together. So, when working with your space, you want to make sure you have a little bit of flour on the base. That way it doesn't stick. So I'm going to put some flour on top here. Bring it all together with my hand real quick. There's nothing better than baking hands-on all the way. So what I'm going to do is just use these little tools that I was given, my hands, and as I bring it together, I'm bringing my dough and pushing it through, bringing my dough and pushing it through. So really simply watch this. I'm going to pull the dough up, push it through, and then knead it through. And as I'm kneading, I'm moving it around and I'm picking up everything left on the table here. Lift and pull and push, lift and pull and push. To my left here, I have a little bit of oil in a bowl. What we're gonna do is let this rise. You only have to do 1 proof on this because the pizza is gonna go straight from the proof. Punch it down, put all our ingredients on top, and you're done. I'm gonna grab my handy dandy plastic wrap. So with the plastic wrap, make sure that it's very, very tight over the top so this dough can, almost kind of like a sauna. Sweat, double in size, and it's perfect. And what I do differently with mine is I'm gonna make a little garlic cream. So let me get all this out of the way, let this start doubling. Show you how to make the garlic cream, prep some vegetables, and it is pizza time. So when making pizza, you gotta add a little bit of savory. So with my summer pizza, really this is your interpretation. It's what you really like. If you wanna add pizza sauce to it that you classically know, the tomato sauce, go ahead, buy the store-bought. What I do is a little bit different. I take some garlic cloves here, just with the back end of my knife. I smash the garlic cloves, because I actually don't even need to pull them out. All I'm doing is infusing this cream with loads of fresh garlic to where it's super tasty. Once you've smashed it, just take my little pan here, a handy dandy pan, slide my garlic right into my pan. And then roughly around 3/4 cup cream, or just an eyeball, it's fine. That roughly is about 3/4 cup cream. Turn on my burner, put the cream on. This is gonna come up, it's gonna reduce down by half, and then exactly where you want it. I always put a little bit of salt and pepper in here too. This is gonna turn into like a really cool garlicky kind of cream sauce that goes on the bottom of our pizza dough as it's rising right now. So, a couple things I'm gonna do. Summer to me is screaming fresh corn. So a lot of people are a little afraid and intimidated of taking corn off the cob. So I take my handy dandy kitchen towel. I fold my towel over in about 1/3 or so. I'll take my corn on the cob, fresh and clean, shucked and raw, by the way. I add it raw because when biting into this cornmeal with the cornmeal inside the pizza dough and fresh raw corn, it turns out really well. Take a bread knife, and all I do is the cob is being held by the towel. That way it doesn't slide all around inside your bowl. And then all you do is just ever so lightly take your knife and slide it right down out the outside. So we got our great corn shucked and done. So our corn can go on top, which is perfect. Same thing with cherry tomatoes. I have a bunch of halved cherry tomatoes here. Take my hand, I cup my hand just like so. I take my knife and just in between the cherry tomatoes, and watch this. In between, done, and they're all cut in half. So now I have some half cherry tomatoes, which are really great. Patty pan squash, which is a baby squash, or zucchini. Watch this. As I'm slicing through, my knife is actually never really coming off the board. Slicing my zucchini. Another thing is, when I do this, I'm sliding my finger away. I can smell the sourdough bread over here rising, and And when I get this garlic cream that's coming together, and you can just get all the aromas of the cream reducing with the garlic and the sourdough in the air. It's a culinary summer in my house right now. And just really ever so lightly, take my knife, cut it this way, or you can do rounds. Either way. For people that are not really comfortable with a knife, I say cut it in half, be comfortable with it, and slice all the way through. Last but not least is a little bit of green onions. They're also known as scallions. The same way, we're just gonna slide our knife through these. We garnish these on top. We're gonna use 3 different cheeses. If you like cheddar cheese and you want to put bacon on this, go ahead. Really, pizza's your own interpretation. But if you make my dough, my sourdough with cornmeal crust, it's phenomenal. The airiness and the super lift that you get from the Platinum Instant Sourdough Yeast, it's phenomenal. So you can put whatever you want on top, just as long as you use my recipe from my buddies over at Red Star Yeast. I got my greens and I got my whites. My dough is rising and we're ready. Hi, you guys there? The dough is finally risen. It's exactly where I want it. Come close, let me show you what I'm talking about. You can see that it doubled. You can see all the little air pockets on the outside here of the bowl. But let me show you my ripe test. I just take my 2 fingers here and I touch the top of it. And my little dimples of my fingers stay. And they don't go all the way in and I'm not losing the dough. See that? Boom. There's my ripe test. All right, so now that we've done our ripe test, you can see the dough, that it's absolutely where we want it to be. This is my sourdough cornmeal crust pizza dough. So I just take my hand, scoop my hand just like this, and just bring the dough right out. I'm gonna grab a little knife here and cut my dough in half. I'm gonna take some oil. I'm gonna brush all the corners. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna pick up my dough, and at the same time, I have cornmeal that is in the dough, that coarse cornmeal. I'm gonna crust the bottom of the pan with the same one, so that way it's crunchy all the way around. Flip it over, because I like it on both sides. Now what we're gonna do is I'm gonna let this stretch out. I'm gonna get it on every little corner of my pan here. So I'm just gonna take my spoon and fish around those garlic cloves. Just enough that you get that little hint and that little kiss of garlic with a little bit of cream. It is divine. I'll put 3 different cheeses, but I need a base for the cheese to grab and hold all the vegetables. Then I finish with fresh mozzarella and a little bit of Parmesan. So what I have here is just my grated store-bought mozzarella. And what I do is I just kind of let it just rain down. And I'm not, letting it fit in every little hole here, because I'm gonna fill that one with fresh mozzarella that I'm gonna tear. And then veggies will fill the other spot. So now that I have it the way I want, with a little bit of that great already store-bought mozzarella. The world is yours right now. I'm gonna take some tomatoes, which we did and we sliced in half. Okay, a little bit of, I'm gonna call this pepperoni, which is our vegetarian version of a little bit of summer squash. Just here and there, a couple, fill in some gaps. I love the yellow. We're gonna get popped with some zucchini for the green that goes over that. So I'm gonna take some fresh corn and just scatter that corn, raw fresh corn over the top. A little bit of scallions, green onions for green, breaking it up. Fresh basil. Just take some basil leaves, and I'm not even gonna rip them. Look, boom, small little basil leaves from the inside. Here's fresh mozzarella in the log. And I was taught by a very dear friend of mine that is a great pizziola. He says, when it comes to fresh mozzarella, rip it à la minute. In French, it means rip it last second. So just fresh mozzarella, because if you get it sliced, it's actually dried out and it's in liquid. And it has more liquid than it really needs. And this will melt differently if you buy it in the whole log. Beautiful, just the way I want it, okay? Always need a little bit of pepper. Gorgeous, always need a touch more salt. So everything doesn't come out of the ground with salt on it. You get to season as you go. Little layers all over. Olive oil's in the crust, but there's no olive oil on top. So I'm gonna do a little drizzle of olive oil here. Last but not least, I'm gonna add a little bit of fresh Parmesan. So this is a hard cheese that doesn't melt as much. So when this hits the zucchini, it's making like a little dust layer. Look here, I'm barely pushing it. And when it hits that cornmeal crust on the corner in that hot pan at 500 degrees, and it starts to caramelize together but holds its shape, and then the mozzarella starts to melt and it grabs that crunchy Parmesan cheese. That basil leaf gets a little bit of color on it. The zucchini's woken up. The olive oil fruit comes out. You have a phenomenal, easy sourdough cornmeal crusted summer vegetable pizza. This looks really good. 500 degree oven. I'm gonna pop it in 5 or 6 minutes. Watch it. You may need to rotate it. If you don't have convection, it may take a couple minutes longer. I need to eat this. I'm gonna pop it in the oven. All right, Washing off my knife to pull the pizza out. I can smell it. It's been around 5.5, 6 minutes. Trust me, use your nose as your gauge. Hello, my friend. Summer and a half sheet pan. Look at it's golden. I love how the basil got a little bit of caramelization. Zucchini just started to wilt. And look, this is what I was talking about, the Parmesan turned into what we call in the culinary world a frico. So a little bit of Parmesan crisp on top of that. So what I'm gonna do is, just to wake up all these amazing vegetables, take a little bit of lemon juice and brighten it. And just have that zucchini and basil and parm just wake up in that sweet yellow corn. Think about it. Lemon juice goes on a lot of things finishing. A little bit of finishing sea salt. If you don't have it, regular salt is fine. You may think this is weird, but waste not. Take a little drizzle of this garlic cream and just have it wake up all the ingredients. This looks amazing. Take my handy dandy bench scraper, lift my pan here, get underneath the crust, loosen it on every side, just talk to it, give it a little nudge, and it pops out just like that. Take your great chef's knife, any way you want to do it. I'm going to go right down the middle, like so. 2 for me, 4 for me, 6 for me. Look at this, the melty cheese, the garlic sauce everywhere. But I know you may think this is weird, but watch this. The true test of a really great pizza is in its dough. It's in the sourdough cornmeal crust. And look at the airiness. Look at the super lift that I'm getting from this amazing platinum instant sourdough yeast. You can smell the sourdough. The lemon juice in the sourdough and the cornmeal is so good. I know I'm eating pizza from the outside in, but you know what? When you make a pizza like this, you gotta start with the best part, the dough. Man, this is good, and none of my team is gonna get any.